Hey, 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 welcome to season 3, episode 10 of the Prosperous Yogini podcast. And I've called today's podcast The Power of the Long Game. There's been in my business good many things happen recently that have just reminded me of one of my mantras that I know I share with you guys a lot: persistent, consistent action in a direction of your dreams. What if? What if I give it time? What if I just continue to show up and let it grow on my own divine timeline? So often when we are saying we've not had success or something didn't work out, or, why can that person do that and I can't? I'm more experienced, I'm more qualified, I'm better than them. Yeah, look at what they're doing, right? I know. I absolutely hear you. And I've had a few stories that have triggered me just like that recently as well. And the challenge is it comes down to the numbers game, which nobody wants to listen to, nobody wants to talk about. And when I talk about conversion rates, people glaze over. Or when I talk about your organic marketing efforts and just, starting something and being a beginner. Like if you haven't got an email list, and I start to talk to people about email marketing and growing your email list, and I'm like, yeah, it takes time. 1 or 2 followers a week is great. And people look at me as like, I haven't got time for that. And like, we've got to let things grow. And there's so much power in the long game. Where might you be in 12 months' time? Where might you be in 2 years' time? Honestly, my darling, you can't even imagine it. And that is the exciting thing. But in a world, and particularly in an industry where we doesn't take long scrolling through social media and there's not someone popping up to say they've got a formula, follow my 5-step formula for 10k mums this month, or I have beef with this, people selling the passive, and I don't even like that word passive, I will always say semi-passive, people selling the semi-passive income dream of online courses and have your first 5-figure 6-figure launch, and they're not asking where are you in terms of audience size at the moment. Okay, let's build an offer. Anyone and everyone can have an online digital offer, but let's build offers aligned with audience size, goals in terms of income, and where you want to go. Let's look at the facts and the figures from where you are now, not comparing ourselves to perhaps someone who's running a marathon and is nearly at the finish line, and we've just signed up to Couch to 5k, for example. Right there's a great analogy. So let me give you some examples in my business of some long game data statistics that I really make me very excited about the future, and I really hope are inspiring to you. So podcast, I am nearly at 14,000 downloads. I have been doing this for nearly 3.5 years. I asked AI the other day, and can I just say, in a world where a few clicks of the button, AI can produce all your content for you, your landing page, your email templates, keep content coming from you, coming from your source, from your truth. That's how we're going to stand out in a AI generated world. We'll be human. Anyway, that's a topic for a different day. So 14,000 downloads, 3.5 years. You may have noticed that there are some ads on my podcast. So I use Lisbon as my host for my podcast. They're all muchness. There's some other great ones out there, right? But Lisbon, messaged me, emailed me to say a few months ago now that I had, reached the markers in terms of audience size, audience growth, for them to offer my podcast out as real estate, for want of a better word, for advertising. So I can accept paid ads onto my podcast, and Lisbon is arranging it, so I'm not having to work with specific brands. I've said what type of ads I want, and it's not large sums of money by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm making a small amount of money from ads every month now. And what do I know about the last 3 years and showing up consistently for my podcast? Well, I'm not planning to stop. This is me in my flow, in my zone of genius. This is the best way for me to create content. If I'd adopted blogging, would I still be here 3.5 years later? Hell no, right? Would have used AI for that one. And then it wouldn't have been authentic. It wouldn't have been my truth. And then it wouldn't have the same energetic resonance. So what AI did tell me, though, I asked AI about my podcast and where I'm at in terms of like average episode download in 7 days. I'm very, very close to being in the top 25% of all podcasts. And I was like, whoa, like, hang on a minute. Can I just stop and pause? Because this is something we don't do, because it's almost like, okay, what's next? I'm not making a lot from ads. Let me get my viewers up. Let's make more from ads. No, hang on a minute. Can I just stop and pause and celebrate the fact that I'm at 14,000 downloads? And that's not including, people who've listened and not download, views and listeners on YouTube. So there. Then can I celebrate the fact that I've reached the markers for Lisbon to drop me an email and say, hey, would you like to put ads on your podcast? And I've said yes. And now I'm making a small amount of money from ads off my podcast. I've monetized my podcast, right? And I'm not going to stop. This is going to grow. What does the long game data tell me? Persistent, consistent action in the direction of your dreams. And according to the data, according to the statistics, I'm very, very close to being in the top 25% of all podcasts. Like, that's pretty mind-blowing. That is pretty mind-blowing. I want to say for little old me. But this isn't because I'm special, right? This is available to you too. I'm not saying everyone needs to start a podcast. Although I absolutely love podcasting as a form of long form content, and you don't even need to be podcasting every week. I started off doing weekly episodes, as you know, guys. And into about when was it, team? Well, I need someone on the call with me, reminded me. There was, I think, towards the end of season 2 or somewhere within season 2, I definitely had to pull back for personal reasons. My little girl was just really struggling at school, and it was a lot. It felt like there was a lot. And I was like, can't keep turning out all this free content. I dropped down to once a month, and then things settled down and I'm back to 2 episodes a month, and it feels like a really good rhythm. Plus I'm like, sorry, it's not like it drops every first and third Friday of the month. It drops when it drops, my darling, when I'm like activated to say something. You don't get that from AI. But the podcast is such a beautiful example of the long game. Where could you, in terms of content, where might you be? Where could you put your energy and effort into something that you really enjoy, that, that zone of genius you want to do, you enjoy doing, it flows from you. You love the impact of it. Tick, 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 tick. You're going to be willing to be at the beginning, and this is it. You're going to be willing to be at the beginning and nobody pay attention to it. You're going to be willing to have episodes and months where your views don't go up or down. Like, hand on heart, don't pay that much attention to my data in terms of podcasting. I'm not like diving in going, and I probably really should pay a little bit more attention. But, I just put out what's in my heart and let it be received. And that's the power. Okay, another long game story. So last week, Substack emailed me. So if you don't know, alongside the bi-monthly free, they're about half an hour, aren't they, guys? Free, I would say gold dust information from yours truly via the Prosperous Yogini podcast. Weekly, I drop into people's inbox via Substack on my Energy, Mindset, Money and More Substack. Now, this is not free. Every week, my paid Substack users get a video. So this week's gone out. It's a 10-minute talk on the mantra that what I can't miss what is meant for me. I'm talking around that and like a behind the scenes example of my business. Last week was a restorative yoga class for half an hour. Next week is energy management and meditation and nervous system regulation. That's a longer class. There are so many episodes on strategy, money mindset, sales, selling strategy, powering your stories. So it's kind of everything. Like, it's literally what it does. It says on the tin: energy, mindset, money, and more. Like, it's like all the ingredients that you need for your business. And do you know how much it is? It's £4.40 a month. It's the cost of one takeaway coffee. So the first thing I'd like to say, if you are, particularly if you're one of my regular listeners, the Energy, Mindset, Money and More Substack link is in the show notes. If you'd really like to support me, and thank me for showing up on here and supporting you for free through the podcast, like, you can show that gratitude by signing up to my Substack, £4.40 a month. And then you get extra Amy in your earbuds for literally the cost of one takeaway coffee. Like, I mean, I've got nothing against Costa and Starbucks. I do go to these large chains, but I just think, like, once you get one coffee at home and supported me rather than the bigger chains, like, does that feel like a good use of your money? Oh, yes. Like, stop listening to the podcast, go over to Substack and sign up, right? Please support me over there. Because this is another long game. I've been Substacking for 18 months. I started for about 6 months doing it for free. Why did I go over to Substack? There were several reasons. One, because I was like, one of the questions I had to like 18 months ago was, how can I monetize my podcast? Like, I'd been podcasting for like nearly 2 years, and I was like, okay, there's something here, there's momentum here. How can I monetize it? And at the time, didn't meet the requirements to have ads on my podcast. So I was called to Substack for that reason. Another reason, and this narrative has been around, for a good many years, take it with a pinch of salt, but social media is dying, and it'd be interesting to see, with this rise of AI generated content flooding the grid on social media, it should be really interesting to see the impact of that. Whereas you come over to Substack and it feels like that quieter, intimate, personal space, a way of creating community. And I just really like to be honest, I like the original intention of Substack, which was, it was created by writers who'd had enough of needing to seek the approval of a middleman to publish their work and get paid. So they're over it. That's how Substack started. It's obviously evolved now to include audio and video. Heck, I saw a yoga teacher actually on Substack the other month using it to run her membership. Her yoga membership is how you access her weekly pre-recorded classes. And I was like, that's a really stellar idea. I've worked with someone one-to-one who's a breathwork coach, who, off the back of a really successful launch that we had together on a 28-day digital offer, invites people into her Substack now for weekly support through breathwork. So I really do love Substack. And actually, if you don't have any email marketing set up, like, Substack might be, depending on the other systems in your business, a good place for you to go and check out. But anyway, Substack emailed me to say that, and I've done a podcast on Substack. Substack emailed me to say I'd reached, are you ready for this? Are you sitting down? The milestone of annual revenue of $1,000 a year. Yeah. Okay. So this is not a groundbreaking sum of money. I know. But actually, on the mindset of multiple streams of income, and like hear this, guys, multiple streams of income, tick. Make sure some are scalable, tick. Make sure some are infinitely scalable. So I've got about 17 paid users on Substack, and 150 Substack subscribers, who obviously not a lot, most of them aren't paying. Come on, guys, it's not a lot of money and it's brilliant. Anyway, so 17 users, $1,000 a year. If that was 170 users, if that was a paid members, if that was 1,700 paid members, it would make no difference to me in terms of level of work. So this is infinitely scalable. You have, there's different levels of scalable offers. So, people are offering, courses, let's use that word containers, and I don't mean Tupperware container, courses where you're bringing a group of people together and there's a start and end date, like, and you're on a Zoom call and there's 100 people. I don't want to do that. That for me is overwhelming if I was participating in that. It's not a criticism of people who are doing it, but that's not for me. Whereas on my Substack, you have no idea, if you're a paid user, how many users there are. It's coming straight into your inbox. You get to access it. So it is an infinitely scalable offer for all of us. It will not impact any paid member if there were 100, 200, 300, 400 plus in there. It doesn't impact my workload, but oh my God, it's going to massively impact the money that flows to me. And what do we know? More money, more time, money, and joy in the hands of big-hearted people like you and me is a good thing. So I was so excited about that. I feel like I need to confess how much I did make from ads in September. It was $3. And the payout for my ads don't start happening until I reach $20. So listen, look, I am going to make a small amount of money from ads in my podcast, but I will make more as it grows. So please make sure you can support me. If you don't want to join my Substack, that's fine, but you can definitely support me by leaving a review on the podcast, sharing it with other people, like share the love. But both the podcast ad revenue and the Substack revenue, I am so excited about them because I've just begun. That's what it feels like. I've just begun. Now, can you imagine if Amy, I don't know, can you imagine if Amy, a few episodes into the Prosperous Yogini podcast, I've got 20 downloads. People aren't really listening to this. What's the point? I'm going to stop. And actually, in terms of podcasting data, statistically, most podcasts don't get past 3 episodes. And I bet you that's it. I bet you they go, oh, this is a lot of work. No one's listening to this. What's the point? Because I wasn't paying attention to the data, I just carried on. And actually, even if I was, I would have carried on. And same now with the podcast, there's no intention for me to stop. Like, this is my purpose. This is my mission. I'm going to help as many big-hearted, soul-led entrepreneurs do what lights them up and make money as humanly possible. And the podcast is, my way of doing that, fulfilling my mission, providing some free content, some free support. So that's going to grow. Substack, I'm not going anywhere. I've literally just got started with Substack. And you know what? I could have had the same with Substack. So I've had it where, I've had a few paid members unsubscribe. And then it's dipped and I've been like, oh, this isn't building. This is decreasing. But I've taken the same attitude with Substack. I'm just going to show up every week. I show up every week. Substack creates, like, if you go over to my Instagram group, you'll see it, quite consistently every 7 days there's a post about my Substack. Substack creates a post, and I literally just schedule that on Facebook, Instagram, and over to LinkedIn. And I've been doing that like really consistently for a while now. And I have started to pick up a few new free and paid members. And I'm appreciative of both, because I do also know free members get like the little segment of it into their inbox every week and the invitation to become a paid member. So like, I'm just here for the long game. Where might that be in 12 months time? Where might that be in 2 years time? And I have got a little target. Like, first target is like 100 paid users. And I'm 17% there. And I'm here for the long game. The long game is hard to imagine. Let's go into like a conversation I know we all find difficult to have, which is audience growth. And I'm going to actually use the word organic audience growth. And what I mean is growth that hasn't been funded by some form of paid marketing, whether that be Facebook ads, Google ads, okay, Pinterest ads, Reddit ads, LinkedIn ads, TikTok, whatever. Organic endeavors is basically your time, okay? And we all know, oh, it's harder to grow an email list these days, and growth on social media is slower. And those things may be true, right? But what if I show up to those people that are on my email list, whether it be 5, 10, 50, 100, 500, 2,000, 3,000, whatever, I show up for those people, regardless of the number. What if every week I make that invitation for people to come onto my list? And what if every time someone comes on, I'm like, you are most welcome? What if on social media I appear on, and this is the mindset you need to have, I appear on this app that is free, that I get to connect to people, tell them who I am, show them who I am, and make invitations, offers to them completely for free, other than my time. What if I show up with the intention to do that and to just bring a bit of light to this app? What if I show up not from a place of lack, I've only got 102 followers, and more from a place of 102 followers? Wow, if 10 of those people bought this thing that I'm selling, what would I make? And not just that, 102, we all start from zero. So I proved that I can gain followers. What if I carry on? And this is the challenge. It feels like the grunt work. It feels like I've got to just, push through this. And funny enough, I'm going to say kind of definitely experiencing like a similar thing in my personal life right now. So I won't make any pretense on this. I have gained a lot of weight as 47, 100% perimenopausal, and 100% in particularly the last 2 years, I will say. I just feel like my weight, regardless of what I do, regardless of what I eat, and I'm active, and I try to be healthy. Like, I am 3, if not 3.5, 4 stone, or was, because I've lost some weight, heavier than my natural weight, or not like my pre-baby weight or anything like that, but even just from a healthy weight point of view. But it really started to feel like it wasn't my body. And yes, I have lost nearly a stone, and I'm about 1/4 to 1/3 of the way through, right? And I feel like I've just got going. I feel like I'm in the grunt work of making sure I'm paying attention to what I'm eating. I'm sticking to my daily calories as best as possibly. And I am, guess what I've done? Paid for a coach to support me through this 100%. No fucking way was I going to do this alone. I tried to do it alone for a couple of years and failed miserably and just got fatter, right? Definition of madness is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So I'm in the grunt work. I'm in the, I've had a little bit of success. I've had proof. I've had evidence. I've got 100 followers on Instagram. I've got 10 people on my email list. I've had a couple of sales into this offer, even though I wanted 10 or 20, so I could have that 6-figure launch, 5-figure launch, whatever the narrative is that you've been sold, right? But now I've had success. I've lost weight. I stuck to the plan. I stuck to the strategy. I got help. I got support. But it's the grunt work, because I'm still quite a long way off from where I want to be, from where I know I am capable of. And this is the same as audience growth. Like, consistent action in the direction of your dreams. And you only know once you've experienced it. But all I can tell you, hand on heart, I promise, sweetheart, particularly if right now you're like, I am doing everything. I'm doing my best. The time that I have got, I am doing my best to grow my audience, to nurture my audience, to sell to my audience, and it just feels so fucking hard, Amy, right? I want you to hear this, that I promise you, because this happened to me many a time, that you go round a bend. It's all I can say. Like, you're there, like trudging up the hill. Like, let me give you an analogy, right? We are climbing a mountain, right? And the mountain is covered in mist, and you don't know where the top is. And you are just trudging up this hill. You've eaten your Kendall mint cake. Do you remember Kendall mint cake? So that still exists. Anyway, you're trudging up the hill. You've eaten your Kendall mint cake. and you don't know where the top is, and it just feels hard work, right? And you're not sure you can carry on. And in fact, a couple of times you sit down, you take your rucksack off, and you think, fuck this, right? It's all right. It's all right for those people that have reached the top already. Yeah. And then something inside you, and it comes from your heart, doesn't it? If something inside you goes, no, this is what's meant for you. This is, you are capable of this. The world needs you to do this and share your gifts. Get that rucksack back on, take a slug of water and get going. And you pick yourself up and you carry on, right? And then the clouds part and you realize that you're at the top. And suddenly it doesn't feel as hard. Suddenly people are coming to you saying, oh, I'd like to book onto this. When are you doing this next? Like, I'm about to open the doors to my mastermind. And this mastermind, I started it 12 months ago. And when I obviously had to tell people a lot about it, when I first launched it, I've had 2 conversations with people like, when you open the doors, when you open the car, have you got the dates for the retreat days? I'm like, oh my God, people are coming to me. I'm not saying it. I'm coming, like it's such a good feeling. But you don't believe it's possible until you experience it. So all I can say to you, my darling, right now, like from the bottom of my heart, don't give up. That's the first thing. Secondly, don't do it alone. Like, if you genuinely can't afford to invest in working with me, listen, suck up every single podcast episode, listen to it, make notes and take action on the advice in these podcasts. I won't lie, the needle shifts when you invest. It's like, my weight loss journey, I just wouldn't have lost a stone if I hadn't invested in working with my PT coach, who's just brilliant. But even just the act of giving her money means I've committed. Her support makes a huge difference. So if you listen to this episode before the 12th of January and you want to come into my mastermind, the links are in the show notes. I am also brewing, because I know my mastermind's not for everyone. I know working one-to-one with me is not for everyone, both in terms of like financial and time commitment. I am brewing something very powerful, which is going to be an invitation to work with me for 12 months for the whole of 2026. And I'm going to say you can afford it. So that's coming your way. Eyes peeled for that. But from the bottom of my heart, literally from the bottom of my heart, stick at it. Persistent, consistent action in the direction of your dreams. And actually, also in the show notes is a link to my Sales on Repeat course, which is £27. £27, right? My Sales on Repeat course is just this. It's 5 incredibly powerful audios that are like how to grow an audience, how to nurture an audience, how to sell to them, repeat, grow, nurture, sell, repeat, grow, nurture, sell, repeat. Be willing to repeat. Be willing to be on your own timeline. Stop comparing yourself to other people, right? I'm going to go back to that analogy I used at the start. Are you comparing yourself to someone who's running a marathon and is nearly at the finish line, whereas you've just signed up to Couch to 5K? That is not even a fair comparison. Like, be on your own divine timeline. I've written here, be willing to give it time. Hold the line. Have faith. Have faith that you can't miss what is meant for you, to just quote my Substack this week. All right, my darlings, don't give up. Just really don't give up. Persistent, consistent action in direction of your dreams. The power of the long game. I literally, I cannot like get enough of this at the moment. And like going back to my weight loss journey, even though I feel like I'm just at the beginning of it, I know I'm here for the long game. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to lose weight by a certain amount of time. I was like, I'm going to give myself 12 to 18 months, to come back to a healthy weight that feels like my body. So I wasn't even in it for the quick fix, but I feel like my business and running my business has taught me so much that now I'm applying to this aspect. All right, my darling. So in the show notes, our Substack, £4.40 a month, right? You can definitely afford that. And I'd love to see you in there. My mastermind links, would love to see you join that. There are only 6 places. And the other thing I'd like to say is January 2026 is the only time in 2026 when you're going to be able to come in to that offer. And then, sales on repeat, £27. The 5 powerful audios that you could listen to again and again and again and be like, right, this is how I grow, this is how I nurture, this is how I sell, repeat, 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 my way. All right, my darlings, I'll see you soon for episode 11.